Well, good morning YouTube. How are we? I'm back home. I'm at my mum's, my mum and stepdad's in not far from Cambridge in England. Cambridge, England. I'm back with my Mac. I'm back with the iMac, which is just glorious. I'm back with slightly full, somewhat full of cheeks, but also feeling back to a level of normality. Now I will be recording like a longer form update, just in terms of what's gone on. But essentially I'm back home. Prep did indeed finish once I got back home for a myriad of reasons, and I'll talk about those in more detail, I think, on another vlog. The reason, or the decision I made to come home, was because in Miami I was in an awful place mentally. But for today, we've got an exciting event going on. For the very first time, myself and Josh Bridgman will train together as IFBB pros, and we're gonna hit push, which is incredibly exciting. Can't wait to see the boy. So that's what's going on today. For now, I need to crack on with my check-ins. I need to get them done, or the majority of them done, before I go. Otherwise I'll leave. There'll be a load left for the afternoon, and yeah, I think we'll catch up on the way to the gym. Okay, so very much en route to Ripped Gym Basildon, so I probably need to get pre in soon. Pre-pump from SN as ever. Had a nice amount of coffee this morning, so no stim. I don't actually have a stim pre at the moment. Pre-pump, which does the job as ever all the time. It's fantastic. We got push today, as I think I mentioned. So the run of the session is a couple of primer movements, primarily pec deck for chest. And then we're going to go into a reverse banded incline Smith press, followed by a low incline dumbbell press. We'll then go into some cuffed movements, so some delt and a couple more chest movements, and then finish off with some arms, both biceps and triceps. My kid's going to get himself a feature in the vlog. He's about to become very famous. So, as I just heard Josh say, it's our first session as IFBB pros officially, which is a mad one. So next steps for us both is crazy. Anyway, we're kicking off with pec deck just to prime. These aren't working sets, just purely to prime, get some blood into the chest and get it ready for pressing. Right. After nearly falling asleep at the wheel 16 times, I made it home safe. So I've got a little double espresso going in with the most un-Brightman meal you've ever seen. But NutriFast, who are based in Rotherham Ultraflex, were kind enough to send me out some meals upon my return. And this is steak, potatoes and asparagus. You might make a Bollywood out of me yet. Gigi is about to be here now. I think he's arrived, so let's welcome him. You can't see me. No comment.
Why not?
Might find it.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
What one?
Lots is going on. What's next? We're here to talk about. It's actually less about what's next and more about what's happened. I want to finish off this kind of part 2 of the One Chance finale by explaining where I am now, why I'm here, and the decisions that led to me getting here, and then a little bit potentially about what's next. So I'm back home, I'm back in England, obviously, no longer in America, as you can see, as you would have seen in the last video. And I got back a couple of weeks ago. I got back a couple of weeks ago, which was 1 week after the Miami show. The reason, or the decision I made to come home was because in Miami I was in an awful place mentally. As you've probably seen from me like reviewing that Miami show, I think my morale just went from like up here to very rapidly down here into the gutters. And I was speaking to my mum in that week before, it might have been actually once I got back, and she said to me that the last time she spoke to me and I was truly happy was like back in November. It's now June. And I was just like, oh shit, like, that's not a place that I want to be in. So I had a lot of conversations with myself, I think in that week in Miami, but more so since I've gotten home and had a bit more sort of support around me. The bottom line is, as that prep went on, particularly after Louis left, and then I had those 2 pretty bitter results for myself, like, I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. Driving to that Miami show, I can't remember if I said it in the last video or not, I just wanted that day to be over. And that was just such a red flag for me. So after that show, there was almost no way I was going to continue doing any more shows in America. So I had a few days to chill in Miami. I think I spoke about this in an Instagram video. I don't know if you do follow me. If you don't, if you do, it's @Brightman_ on Instagram. I did quite a frank and open video just because I felt like I needed to get it off my chest about where I was at. And that kind of downtime I had in Miami after that show, which I was always going to give myself, continuing prep or not, I just felt in this limbo of like, I really want to enjoy this place, I want to go out and do things, I want to eat the food that's available to me and all these temptations here, and I've worked very hard for 6 months, so I deserve some downtime. But equally in the back of my head, it's like, but also you're probably going to continue prep when you get home. So that was a really tricky dynamic to be in. It was like, don't eat and feel a bit shit about stopping yourself enjoying yourself, or eat and then feel shit once you've finished eating. And I spent that week as well, I think, essentially trying to really up my expenditure to account for what I was eating. And then that leads me to sort of the next point. So I really ran my body into the ground, obviously over prep in general, but then also in that final week. And then once I got home, within a few days of being back on plan, so 75 grams of carbs every day, 300 protein, very tough dieting. Also, I was immobile. So my right knee, which is currently bent, is in this position because I effectively can't straighten it as much as I'd like to. I don't know what's going on. I've been to the doctor, it's not thrombosis. I think it might be a Baker's cyst, which has ruptured into my leg. But effectively, I couldn't do any cardio. So getting back on prep was always going to be very tricky. Aside from that, my head was just not in it. No part of me wanted to carry on that prep. And when I finally told Callum that I was stopping prep, his reply was, yeah, I knew you would. So that all kind of said a lot to me. He just needed to hear it from my perspective. And I think the reason my head was not in it was because I'd stopped enjoying myself a long time ago. And when you're at the dog end of prep, like, the shows are coming, you should be enjoying that time. They should be awesome days, you should really enjoy them. But I think the lack of support I had out in America, just in terms of people being with me, really knocked the stuffing out of me. Going to show days, as I said, I wasn't enjoying myself. There was no one there to like gas you up, which I think you need on the show days. No one there to tell you you look great. Maybe it's because I didn't look great. But yeah, all the fun had been sapped out of it for me. And I think a big disappointment for me has been that the expectation of that trip that I just went on versus the reality was it was supposed to be incredible, and instead doing the whole thing solo made it very difficult. All of those led up to me coming home, and then mostly my mindset and my leg is what was the sort of final blow for me to stop prep. There was potentially going to be one more show, which is going to be Portugal, but with 5 weeks to go, I don't think I could have put myself through it physically or mentally. And we're not even talking about like blood work here, which also needs looking at. Lots of red flags, lots of warning signs, and in the end, the decision was that prep had to stop. So what's next? Well, the focus obviously for the last 6 months has been my prep, and now it moves to a lot of other different things. So firstly, prep, in my opinion, maybe in the start is good for business. In that back end, when brain starts to come rocketing, that brain power starts to come rocketing down to the floor, it's not as good. So I stopped taking on new clients, which I'm now taking on new clients. Now advertising again a lot more, and most importantly, I've been able to focus on my clients who've been competing. So obviously we've already won one pro card this year with Liam. He is now about to move into his improvement phase. That's going to lead a lot of focus. We've taken Chris to the PCA first timers. He got a top 3 in a British finals invite. So we now need to focus on his off season because he's going to go into an improvement phase. And then I've got a handful of other guys who will be competing across PCA, UK DFBA and 2 Bros leading into the back end of this year. So the focus is now very much where it needs to be. It's kind of been timed perfectly. It's on Team Brightman, it's on my clients, it's on helping Luke continue to grow and blossom as a coach in his own right. And it's also about these little bad boys, which I'm very proud of. So the Team Brightman tees, or the Brightman tees with the world tour in the back, it's about getting these launched in a good way. So I'm super happy with these. I think we'll talk about these in a separate video, but we've got this wash black finish. It's an oversized fit. There's a high and relatively tight neckline, not tight, but not loose. We've got embroidery on the front and then print on the back. So screen print, it's the same technique that the brands such as Represent use, which is always what I wanted. So I'm super happy with these. They will launch very soon in these very nice looking little bags. And yeah, I'm excited to get them launched. So that's something else we're going to be focusing on, and then who knows where that will lead. And then I guess finally, in terms of like personally where I'm going to be focusing when it's not on all those things, I don't actually know just yet. We've set up training to focus on the areas that I need to improve my physique. I'm still in love with building muscle. I'm still in love with hypertrophy, but it's about sort of refocusing health. Refocusing my priorities, relaxing a bit, enjoying life, enjoying the Euros. I will very much keep you posted on what my next steps are as we move forward, but right now, we don't know. I don't know. So stay tuned and you'll probably find out. But thank you for watching this series. Thank you to everyone who has been involved in it as well. Gigi behind the camera. Everyone who supported me in person, but also not in person, because it doesn't go unnoticed. It's just that it kind of runs thin when you're on your own. And yeah, Cal in particular, Coach Cal, who's kept me on the straight and narrow and grounded, and answered the questions I needed to. And then finally the boys who've been the sounding board. But for now, peace out. The One Chance series is over. We're on to the next chapter.